The night calls us.
Eternal weird awaits.
Greetings, my dark folk, my dark family, wherever you are. I'm making this video to discuss the vampire archetype. What originally inspired me was that book there, the Vampire Ritual book by Michelle Belanger. That's why I'm making this video. Now, here's the funny thing about it. When I told a friend of mine I was going to make this video, he's like, "Well, dude, he says you started in punk in '85 as a 13-year-old. In '92 you got into goth." He says, "And lately you've been going through a punk look." He says, "You're living the vampire archetype of the Bruja from Vampire the Masquerade." I immediately choked on a can of soda I had, because he knows I don't like the game Vampire the Masquerade, because there is so much of the politics and stuff going on in the vampire community and the way people behave that is reminiscent of, well, 90s era Vampire the Masquerade. All the politics and stuff like that. But it did further inspire me to make this video. There now, for instance, this book, the Vampire Ritual book by Michelle Belanger, there is 3 archetype rituals: the Vampiric Bond, Vampire Sunrise Visual, and the Death and Birth Rite. Well, Death and Rebirth Rite, if you will. Alright. Now, a lot of people in the vampire community are born vampires. Like, somebody's born a vampire, they have something happen and it triggers off the awakening, and they come to these slow and sometimes, what the hell, realization of what they are. And do you have lifestylers? That's the people who just dress the part of the archetypal vampire and have a good time. But then nonetheless, they're tapping into the vampire archetype. And where's the symbols, the symbology that has grown up around the vampire. Now, some of these lifestylers are occultists as well. And unfortunately, they present themselves as real vampires, which kind of makes it hard for those who are real vampires who went through an awakening. But I'm not going to preach on that right now. What I'm going to say is this. There are many ways to tap into the vampire archetype. You can develop rituals drawn from inspiration from literature, movies, stuff like that. Or you could, way you dress, the lifestyle you live. Whether you're a born vampire or a lifestyle, you can adopt the lifestyle of the vampire. Hey, or you could take, and this one I've never seen anybody do, is take items they read about, or they hear about in a movie, or like I said, read about in a book, and use rituals to develop their own version of it. For instance, how many of you have seen all 5 of the subspecies movies and its spin-off, The Vampire Journal? If you have, you've heard of the Blade of Laertes, the Vampire Slayer. First talked about in Vampire Journals. The vampire known as Zachary in it is the first person you see with the sword. It's seized from him by Ash, who calls it what it is, the Blade of Laertes, the Vampire Slayer. You see, it was originally his. Now, Zachary does get the blade back, sword back. Now, in part 4, they bring Ash back. He got in Vampire Journals. Now, in part 4 of Subspecies, Ash has the Blade of Laertes. And in this case, it is found out when Radu Vladislav shows back up that Ash stole it from him. And it's shown, next time it's shown again, it's in part 5. So, here's my Blade of Laertes. I've ritually consecrated, empowered, and that is my one way I have tapped into the vampire archetype. There's many ways you can tap into the vampire archetype. You know, the ritual, the way you dress, the ritual items, talismans, and stuff that you may read about or you may hear about in a movie, and you go, hey, why not do a ritual to consecrate and empower this sword or this, whether it's the blade of Laertes or some other sword you've heard of in movies or books, or some talisman or amulet or something like that. Heck, I forgot what the name of that cross was. It's in the first John Carpenter's Vampires movie that John Wood starred in. The Cross of Burzum or something like that, I think it was what it is. I'm not for sure anymore. If a person feels like taking a big, huge cross that they're going to mount on their wall or whatever, and they want to empower it, is that, hey, if it helps them tap into the archetype of the vampire, whether the person is a born vampire or they are a lifestyler or occultist who's tapping into the archetype, more power to them. Just the thing is, there's many ways to tap into the vampire archetype other than just using rituals like Michelle Belanger's Vampiric Bond, Vampire Sunrise Ritual, Death and Rebirth Rite. I mean, there's many sources in vampiric literature, movies, and so forth and all that a person can use to draw on to tap into the vampiric archetype. And it's not, like I said, it's not just lifestylers doing it that can do it. It's not just occultists that can do it. It's also people that are born a vampire to go through awakening. They can do it. Like I said, here's my blade of Laertes. There's many ways. I got to admit that when a friend of mine had said that, hey man, why you dressed lately going all punk again? He says, you look like you'd be a member of Clan Bruja. That almost caused me to quit going punk into more of a punk mode at the moment because of the simple fact I hate Vampire the Masquerade. And if you've read any of the books that describe when it comes to describing Clan Bruja for the 90s, I don't know about the modern editions of Vampire Masquerade, but if you go with the old 90s, they're more like street punks, hardcore punks, the way they dress and stuff. So yeah, it's like, man, I almost decided I ain't gonna dress punk anymore because that kind of almost killed it for me. Because like I said, I don't like Vampire Masquerade. There's too much politics goes on in the vampire community that to this day is reminiscent of the influence of Vampire Masquerade on the vampire community. That being said, I would just like to say this, my friends. Have a good day, a good night, wherever you are, my dark friends, my dark folk, my dark family. Stay strong and stay powerful.
Come, my friend, and join the darkness.